Commander ran through the smoke-filled corridors of the research station. Alarms screamed in her ears. The walls shook with each explosion outside. Her team had only minutes to reach the landing pad before the enemy fighters returned. She was a species known across the galaxy for logic and survival instinct. Her blue skin helped her blend into shadows. Her large eyes could see in low light. But right now, none of that mattered. She just needed to get her people out alive. Turned a corner and stopped. Her feet would not move. Her breath caught in her throat. A human male stumbled toward her through the smoke. His clothes were burned and torn. Blood ran down his face and arms. His left leg dragged behind him. But that was not what made freeze. In his arms he carried a small human child, a girl, maybe 8 or 9 years old. The child's head was wrapped in bloody bandages. Her arm hung at a wrong angle. She was not moving. The human man's eyes met. They were dark and filled with pain, but also with something else. Something did not understand, determination, fierce and burning. "Please," the man said. His voice was rough. "My daughter, she needs help." Straining took over. She activated her comm unit. "I need a medical team at Corridor 7, now." "Commander, we have no time," her medical officer's voice crackled back. "The ships are leaving in 3 minutes." Looked at the human again. He had not put the child down, even though he could barely stand. Even though carrying her made him slower, made him an easier target. In culture, this made no sense. When a young one was injured badly, you left them. It was practical. It ensured the healthy survived. It was nature's way. But humans. "Help is coming," said. She moved forward and reached for the child. "Let me carry her. You are injured." "No," the human's voice was firm. He pulled back slightly. "I carry her. She's my daughter." "You will move faster if I take her. Your leg is damaged." I said no. The man's eyes hardened. "Where she goes, I go. We stay together." Arrived with 2 other medics. They carried a stretcher. The medical officer took one look at the human, and his scanner beeped urgently. "Sir, you have severe burns, possible internal bleeding, and a fractured femur," said. "You need immediate treatment. Put the child on the stretcher." "Check my daughter first." "Sir, you could die." "Check my daughter first." Looked at, she could see the confusion in his eyes, the same confusion she felt. This was not logical. This was not rational. But something about the human's voice told her he would not move, would not comply, would die standing there before letting go. "Do as he asks," ordered. "Scan the child. Severe head trauma, broken bones. She is unconscious but stable. She needs surgery within 12 hours. "Then let's go," the human said. He took a step forward and nearly fell. His injured leg could not support the weight, but he caught himself. He did not drop the child. "Sir, please," said. "Be reasonable. Let us put her on the stretcher. You can walk beside her." "I carry her." The human's voice did not change. "Always." Made a decision. "Fine, support his left side. I will take his right. We move together." They half carried, half dragged the human through the station. He refused to let go of his daughter the entire way. Other evacuees stared as they passed. A merchant shook his head. A scientist made a clicking sound of disapproval with her mandibles. "Foolish human," one of them muttered, "wasting energy on a dead weight." The human heard. His jaw tightened, but he said nothing. He just held his daughter closer and kept moving. They reached the landing pad. 3 ships waited, engines hot. Frigate was the largest. People pushed and shoved to get aboard. Panic made them desperate. "Make way," ordered. Her voice cut through the chaos. People moved aside. They looked at the human carrying his child with confusion and something else. Pity, perhaps, or disgust. Inside the ship led them to the medical bay. It was small but well equipped. He pointed to 2 beds side by side. "Put her here," said. "You take the other bed." The human finally, carefully, laid his daughter down. His hands were shaking. He made sure her head was supported. made sure she was comfortable. Then he collapsed into the other bed. Immediately went to work. Scanners, injections, bandages. The human never took his eyes off his daughter, even when treated his burns, even when the pain made him gasp. "What is her name?" asked. She did not know why she asked. It did not matter, but she wanted to know. The human said softly, "Her name is, she is 8 years old. She likes drawing and old earth music. She is afraid of thunder but not of the dark." His voice broke. "She is everything." "And your name?" Nodded. She wanted to ask more, wanted to understand, but the ship shuddered as it lifted off. They were leaving. The station exploded behind them moments later. Anyone still inside was gone. Closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, they were wet. "Thank you," he said, "for stopping, for not leaving us." It was the right choice, said, but she was not sure she believed it. Resources were limited. Every person on board meant less for everyone else. Every injured person meant more medical supplies used. Logic said she should have left them, but she had not. She could not. Over the next hour, watched through the medical bay window. She had reports to file, crew to manage, but she kept coming back to look, had moved his bed closer to his. His hand reached out to hold hers. His eyes never left her face. "It is strange," said beside her. "This behavior, it defies logic." "Yes," agreed. "In my medical training, we learned about humans. They form these bonds with their offspring, stronger than any species we have documented. They call it love." "Love does not keep you alive in a war zone," said. "Logic does. Strategy does. Sacrifice of the weak for the strong does." "Perhaps," said. "But look at him, Commander. He is barely conscious from pain, but he holds her hand, as if his touch alone could heal her." Watched, his thumb moved gently across his daughter's small hand, back and forth, a gesture of comfort, of presence, of something had no word for in her own language. "Set course for medical station," ordered. "Maximum speed. That child has 12 hours. I intend to get her there in 6. She turned away from the window, but the image stayed with her. A father carrying his daughter through hell itself, not because it was logical, not because it ensured his survival, but because she was his daughter, and that somehow was reason enough. The frigate cut through space at maximum speed. Stars blurred past the viewports. In the medical bay, machines beeped softly, monitoring 2 human lives. Stood in her command center, staring at the navigation display. 6 hours to the medical station. Maybe less if she pushed the engines harder. Behind her, the door slid open. Entered, looking tired. "Report," said. "The girl is stable but critical. The head injury is severe. She needs proper surgery soon. The human male is worse than I thought." "Explain." Pulled up a holographic display. Saw the scans of his body. Red markers everywhere. 3 broken ribs, punctured lung. Severe burns covering 40% of his body. The leg fracture has damaged major blood vessels, and there is something else. "What?" "Toxin levels. He has been injecting himself with military-grade stimulants. The kind soldiers use to stay awake during long battles. He has been using them for at least 2 days. His body is shutting down from exhaustion and chemical overload." Felt something cold in her chest. Why would he do that? "To stay conscious, to stay with her. He told me when I found the injection marks. He said he needed to be awake in case she woke up, in case she needed him." "That is insane. Those stimulants will kill him." "I told him that. He said it did not matter if he could not be there for his daughter." Shook his head. "Commander, I need to sedate him, force him to rest. His body cannot take much more." "Will he agree?" "No," he refused. "He says he must stay awake, must watch over her." Thought for a moment. What if we move his bed, put it right beside hers, so he can see her while he sleeps? "I tried that. He says it is not enough. He says she might wake up scared, might call for him. He needs to be conscious to respond immediately." Walked to the medical bay. Through the window she saw sitting up in his bed. His face was pale with pain. Bandages covered most of his body, but his eyes were open and fixed on. One hand still held hers. She entered the room, looked up briefly, then back to his daughter. "You are dying," said, no point in gentle words. "The doctor says your body cannot take more stress. You need to rest, to sleep." "I am fine." "You are not fine. You are killing yourself." "I will rest when she wakes up, when I know she is okay." "She might not wake up for days. You will die before then." His jaw tightened. "Then I die, but I will not leave her alone, not like—" His voice broke. He stopped speaking. Moved closer. "Not like what?" For a long moment said nothing. Then quietly, "Her mother, 2 years ago, different attack, different planet. My wife, she was hurt badly. I was off planet for work. I could not get back in time. She died alone in a hospital bed, no family, no one holding her hand." Tears ran down his face. He did not wipe them away. "I promised her as she was dying, promised I would never let go through that, never let her be alone, never let her wake up scared with no one there." Had no response. In her culture, such promises meant nothing. Survival was what mattered, but she was beginning to understand that humans were different, very different. "I will stay with her," heard herself say. The words came out before she thought about them. Looked at her confused. "If you rest, if you let the doctor treat you properly, I will stay here. I will watch. If she wakes, I will call you immediately. You have my word." "You do not understand. She does not know you. She will be scared." "Then teach me. Tell me about her. Tell me what to say, how to comfort her." Stared at for a long time. She saw him thinking, calculating, weighing his trust. "She likes to hear about stars," he finally said. "Used to tell her stories about constellations, about Earth before humans left it. If she wakes and is scared, tell her about stars. It calms her." "I will remember." "And she has a stuffed animal, a tiger. It was in her backpack, if you can find it." "I will find it." His eyes closed. The exhaustion was winning. "Promise me. Promise you will call me the second she wakes." "I promise." Moved quickly, he injected something into his IV line. Within seconds, the human's hand relaxed. His breathing deepened. Sleep took him. "How long will he sleep?" asked. 8 hours, maybe more. His body desperately needs it. Checks monitors. The girl is still stable, no change. Found's backpack in the corner. Inside was a small orange tiger, worn from years of hugging. She placed it carefully beside the girl on the bed. The hours passed slowly, sat in a chair between the two beds. She reviewed reports on her data pad, made decisions about ship operations, but mostly she watched. She saw how his hand, even in sleep, reached toward his daughter, how his sleep was not peaceful but restless. Like even unconscious, part of him was standing guard. 6 hours into the journey, alarms blared. Ran to the bridge. Her second officer, a named, pointed at the display. "Enemy patrol, 3 fighters. They have detected us." "Can we outrun them?" "Not at this speed. The engines are already at maximum. We are heavy from all the evacuees." Looked at the numbers. 3 enemy fighters against her 1 frigate. She could try to fight, but they would likely lose. Or, "How much do the evacuees weigh?" she asked. Understood immediately. "If we jettison Cargo Bay 3, where most of them are housed, we gain 20% more speed. We could escape." Standard procedure. When faced with overwhelming force, save what you can. Sacrifice the rest. Had made such decisions before. It was logical. It was survival. But her hand hesitated over the control panel. She thought of carrying through fire and smoke, refusing to let go even when it meant his own death, choosing love over logic, choosing together over survival. What had that human said? "Where she goes, I go." "Divert all auxiliary power to engines," ordered, "including life support to the cargo bays." "Commander, that will only give us 10% more speed. It is not enough." "Do it and prepare the weapons. We fight if we must." We cannot win a fight against 3. I said do it. The crew moved quickly. The ship shuddered as power redirected. The engines screamed with the strain. On the display, the distance between them and the enemy fighters began to grow. Slowly, too slowly. They are gaining weapons lock, reported. Watched the numbers, calculated trajectories. They needed 2 more minutes to reach the debris field ahead. 2 minutes and they could hide, could lose their pursuers. 90 seconds to weapons range, said. Thought of the evacuees below. Families, children, all depending on her decision. She thought of a promise made to a dying mother. Hold course, she ordered. The seconds crawled past. The enemy fighters closed in. Could see them now on the visual display. Sleek, deadly, their weapons ports glowing with charging energy. 60 seconds. His hand gripped her chair. She had gambled everything on this choice. Gambled hundreds of lives. For what? For the illogical hope that keeping people together mattered more than cold survival. 30 seconds, they are firing. The ship jerked hard left. Explosions bloomed in space where they had been moments before. The helmsman was good, but not good enough to dodge forever. 10 seconds to debris field. Another explosion, this one closer. The ship's shields flickered. 5 seconds. The frigate dove into the debris field. Rocks and ice and destroyed ship parts filled the space around them. The enemy fighters followed, but they were larger, less maneuverable. One fighter clipped an asteroid. It spun out and exploded. The other 2 pulled back, unwilling to risk the chase. We are clear, reported. Enemy has broken pursuit. Released her breath. She had not realized she was holding it. She returned to the medical bay. Was still sleeping, still unconscious, but they were alive. Everyone was alive. Looked up when she entered. I heard the alarms. What happened? Nothing, said, just a course correction. But it was not nothing, it was everything. She had chosen the illogical path, the human path, and somehow everyone had survived. She sat back in her chair and watched the father and daughter, still reaching for each other, still together. Maybe humans were not so illogical after all. Medical station hung in space like a small moon. Frigate docked with a heavy thud. The airlock hissed open and medical teams rushed in with stretchers and equipment. We have 2 critical patients, called out. Both human, both need immediate attention. A human doctor in a white coat stepped forward. His name badge read doctor. He was older, within his hair and tired lines around his eyes. Bring them to Trauma Bay, he ordered. His team moved efficiently, transferring and to hover stretchers. Woke as they moved him, his eyes snapped open with panic. Where is? Right beside you, said calmly. See, we are moving you both together. Turned his head, saw his daughter on the stretcher next to his body relaxed slightly. Do not separate us. I will do my best, said. They moved through the station's corridors. Followed, though she was not sure why. She had delivered her passengers. Her duty was done. But something pulled her along behind the stretchers. The trauma bay was large and well-equipped, but it was also crowded. Wounded from a dozen different species filled the beds. Doctors and nurses ran between patients. The smell of blood and antiseptic filled the air. Scanned first. His face went tight. The head trauma is worse than I thought. She needs surgery now. We need to relieve pressure on her brain before it causes permanent damage. Do it, said. I need to examine you too. Ran the scanner over. The device beeped urgently. Red warnings flashed across the display. You need surgery too. The internal bleeding is getting worse. Those broken ribs have torn tissue. If we do not operate soon. An alarm cut him off. Across the room, a nurse called out, Doctor, the patient in Bay 7 is crashing. Cursed under his breath, he turned to a nurse. Prep surgery for the human child. I will be there as soon as I can. He ran toward Bay 7. Followed, curious. She saw a group of doctors working frantically on a patient. The patient was an older female with silver markings on her skin. Important markings. Recognized them. "That is Counselor Bora," said to a nearby nurse. "Yes, she was injured in the attack on the diplomatic station. She needs immediate surgery, but we only have one surgical unit available. It is already reserved for the human child." Felt cold. She knew Counselor Bora. She was important. She shaped policy for 3-star systems. She was a voice of reason in the Galactic Coalition. She was like, and the human child was just that. A human child. No one important. Just a girl who drew pictures and liked music. Returned, his face grim. "Bora needs surgery immediately. If we wait, she will die." "But the human child," the nurse started, "also needs surgery immediately." Looked at the monitor showing both patients' vital signs. He was silent for a long moment, calculating, weighing lives. Knew what the right choice was, what the logical choice was. Counselor Bora was important. She affected millions of lives. The child affected only her father. One life versus millions. The math was simple. "Operate on Counselor Bora," said quietly. Felt surprised. She had expected the human doctor to choose his own species, but he had not. He had chosen based on pure medical need, on who would contribute more to society. It was the logical choice. The choice. So why did feel sick? She returned to the trauma bay, was sitting up in his bed. His face was with pain. "Where is the doctor? When does get surgery?" Explained. She watched face as she spoke, watched as understanding came, then acceptance. "I see," he said. "The counselor is more important." "Yes." "How long until the surgery unit is free?" 2 hours, maybe 3. Nodded. He looked at his small daughter lying unconscious. "She has 3 hours then, before it is too late. The doctor will work as fast as he can." "I know." Lay back down. He reached for his hand again. "Thank you for telling me honestly." Left. She felt confused, had not argued, had not demanded his daughter be treated first, had not insisted humans were more important. He had simply accepted the logical decision. But his eyes had held such pain, such fear, not for himself, for his child. An hour passed, tried to work on reports, tried to focus on her duties, but she kept thinking about the trauma bay, about a father holding his daughter's hand while time ran out. She pulled up human medical files, started reading about human biology, about their parental bonds. What she found shocked her. Human parents' brains physically changed when they had children. Chemical reactions made them protective, made them willing to die for their offspring. It was not a choice. It was biology. Evolution had programmed them this way. But why? Read deeper, found studies, found history. Humans had evolved on a dangerous world. Earth, before they left it, had been full of predators. Human young were weak, helpless for years, so parents had to protect them, had to sacrifice everything. The species survived because parents loved fiercely. Other species had different strategies, had many young, some died, the strong survived. It was efficient, but humans had few children. Each one was precious, valuable, worth dying for. Found records of human history. Parents running into burning buildings to save children. Parents lifting vehicles that should have been impossible to move. Parents fighting off dangerous animals with bare hands, all for their children. She found one story that made her stop reading. A human mother on old Earth had donated her organs to save her daughter. The mother had died so the child could live. The child had grown up to become a famous scientist, had discovered a cure for a disease, had saved millions of lives. The mother would never have made those discoveries, but she had created the person who did. She had invested everything in the next generation, and through that sacrifice, she had changed the galaxy. Closed the files, went back to the trauma bay, was still there, still holding his hand, but now saw it differently. This was not weakness. This was not illogical. This was a father doing what billions of years of evolution had programmed him to do, protect his child, at any cost. "How is she?" asked. Looked up, his eyes were red, stable but fatting. "The doctor checked 20 minutes ago. He says she has maybe 90 minutes left. Bora's surgery is taking longer than expected." Sat down beside him. "Tell me about her." "About?" "Why?" "Because I want to know." Was quiet for a moment, then he began to speak. "She was born during a meteor shower, said it was a sign that she would be special. She started drawing when she was 3, loved colors, loved making beautiful things." He smiled slightly. "She is terrible at math, cannot add numbers to save her life, but she can remember every constellation, every star pattern. She knows all their stories." "What does she want to be when she grows up?" "An artist or maybe an explorer, she cannot decide. She wants to see every planet in the galaxy, draw pictures of all of them. She has this notebook full of sketches, places she has been, places she wants to go." His voice broke. "She carries it everywhere. It was lost in the attack." Reached into her jacket, pulled out a small, burned notebook. She had found it near where she first saw, had picked it up without thinking. "This?" she asked. Took it with shaking hands, opened it. Inside were drawings, colorful pictures of planets and stars and aliens. Some pages were burned, but most had survived. "You saved it," he whispered. "I did not know it was important." "It is everything to her." He held the notebook against his chest. "Thank you." Another alarm sounded. A nurse ran past. Then another. Something was wrong. Stood and moved to where she could see into the surgical room. Through the window she saw chaos. Doctors working frantically on Counselor Bora. The surgery was not going well. Saw doctor's face, saw the stress, the fear. A senior nurse came out. Her face was grim. "We have complications. The surgery will take at least another 2 hours." Looked at, he had heard. He knew what it meant, would not make it. The time would run out. But said nothing, did nothing, just held his daughter's hand and waited for the end. "This is not right," said out loud. The nurse looked at her. "It is the logical choice. Counselor Bora serves millions. Logic does not matter if we lose our humanity." Stopped. Realized what she had said. Humanity. She was not human, but somehow watching this father love his daughter so completely, so illogically, had changed something in her. She went a fine doctor, pushed into the surgical room despite the protests. "You cannot be in here," a nurse shouted. "How much longer?" demanded. 2 hours, said without looking up. "Maybe more, this is complicated. The human child has 90 minutes. I know, his voice was strained. "I am trying my best here." Looked at Counselor Bora, at the important diplomat lying unconscious on the table. Then she thought of a little girl who liked to draw, who wanted to see the galaxy, who was everything to her father. "There has to be another way," said. "There is not. We have one surgical unit, that is all." Left, sat back down beside. They waited together in silence, both knowing what was coming, both helpless to stop it. Time ticked away. 60 minutes, 40, 20. Vital signs grew weaker. Her breathing more shallow. Held her hand, whispered to her, told her about stars, about her mother, about how much she was loved. 10 minutes left. Found herself praying. She did not pray, did not have gods, but she prayed anyway. To whatever forces controlled the universe, please, not this child, not like this. 5 minutes. Then doctor appeared. His surgical gown was covered in blood. His face was exhausted. "The counselor's surgery is done. She will live." He moved to, checked her monitors. "We need to move now. Get her to surgery immediately." Hope flared in his eyes. "There is still time." "Barely. If we start in the next 2 minutes, we can save her." They moved fast, rushed to the surgical unit, tried to follow, stopped him. "You cannot come in. You need surgery too. We will do yours right after hers." "But..." I promise you I will save your daughter, looked directly into his eyes. You have my word as one father to another. The surgical doors closed, stood there, staring at where had disappeared. Then his legs gave out. He collapsed. Nurses caught him, carried him to a bed. Watched them work on, saw him lose consciousness as his body finally gave up. She stayed, waited. For the first time in her life she understood. This was not weakness. This was strength. The strength to love when logic said not to. The strength to hold on when everything said to let go. Humans were not stronger than other species. Not smarter, not faster, but they loved harder. And maybe thought that was the greatest strength of all. 3 days passed, had not left the medical station. She told herself it was for practical reasons. Her ship needed repairs, her crew needed rest, but the truth was simpler. She was waiting. Surgery had lasted 6 hours. Doctor had saved her life. The pressure on her brain was relieved. The broken bones were set. Now she lay in the recovery ward, small and pale in a bed too big for her. Surgery had taken 4 hours. His internal bleeding was stopped. His ribs were repaired. His leg was fixed. He lay in the bed next to us, still unconscious from the trauma his body had endured. Visited them every day, sometimes twice a day. She did not know why, she just felt pulled to that room. On the 3rd day, she entered to find Doctor checking monitors. He looked up and nodded. "Commander, good timing. The girl is waking up." Moved closer. She saw his eyes moving beneath her eyelids, saw her fingers twitch. Then slowly the child's eyes opened. Blinked, looked around with confusion. Her eyes were dark brown like her father's. They filled with fear as she realized where she was. "Papa," her voice was barely a whisper. "Papa." "He is right here," said gently. "See, in the bed next to you." Turned her head, saw lying still. Saw all the machines connected to him. Her small face crumpled. Tears ran down her cheeks. "Is he dead? Is Papa dead?" "No, no," said quickly. "He is sleeping, healing. He will wake up soon." You promise he is not dead like Mama." "I promise," but was not comforted. She tried to sit up, wanted to reach her father. Pain made her cry out. The monitors beeped urgently. "You need to stay still," said. "You are hurt, you need to rest." "No, I need Papa, Papa." She was crying harder now, scared and hurt and confused. Moved without thinking. She sat on the edge of his bed. "Your Papa is here, he never left you, not even for a moment." Looked at this alien with blue skin and large eyes. "Who are you?" "My name is. I helped bring you and your Papa here. He asked me to watch over you, to tell you about stars if you woke up scared." "Stars?" Crying slowed slightly. "Yes, your Papa said you love stars, that your mother used to tell you stories about them." Nodded. Her small hand reached out toward her father's bed. She could not reach. The distance was too far. Saw the pain in the child's eyes, not physical pain, something deeper. "Can I hold his hand?" whispered. "I just want to hold his hand." Moved quickly. He pushed the beds closer together, close enough that could reach across. Her small fingers found his larger hand, held tight. "He saved you," said. "Did you know that? He carried you through fire and smoke. He would not let go, not even when it hurt him, not even when everyone said he should." "Papa always holds on," said. "He promised Mama. He promised he would never let me go." Felt something break inside her chest. This child understood. Even at 8 years old, she knew what her father had sacrificed, what he would always sacrifice. Over the next hours, sat with, told her about the stars visible from the station, made up stories like his mother used to. The child listened, one hand always holding her father's hand. Doctor came by regularly. "This is good for her," he said quietly, "having someone here. Human children do better with presence, with connection." "Your species is strange," said. Smiled. "We are, but it works for us. Human children need years of care, years of love, so we evolved to provide it. Parents who did not bond strongly with their children, who did not protect them fiercely, their children did not survive. Natural selection favored the ones who loved most. But it is inefficient. So much energy spent on so few offspring. Is it? Think about it, Commander. Parents have many children, some die. The resources are spread thin. But human parents invest everything into each child, every resource, every moment of time, every bit of knowledge and skill we have. Gestured to. That girl, if she survives, will carry forward everything her parents taught her, everything they sacrificed for. She will pass it to her children, and they to theirs. Generation after generation, building on what came before. Thought about that. About carrying through the destruction, about the mother who had died donating organs, about countless human parents through history who had given everything for the next generation. It is a different strategy, she admitted. Not just different, powerful, checks monitors. Human civilization advanced faster than most species because of this. We invest so much in our young that each generation is smarter, stronger, more capable than the last. Our children are not just copies of us. They are improvements. They are hope. That night could not sleep. She went to the station's library, pulled up files on human development, on human families. What she read changed everything she thought she knew. Human children were helpless for years, could not walk for a year, could not feed themselves, could not survive alone. Most species young were independent within weeks or months. But humans, years of dependency. So humans evolved intense parental bonds, mothers and fathers who would die for their children, would fight armies for them, would sacrifice everything, because if they did not, the child would die, and with it, all the time and energy invested. But this created something unexpected. Human children with years of care and teaching learned more, absorbed more. They did not just learn to survive. They learned to think, to create, to imagine. By the time they were adults, they carried a wealth of knowledge their parents had spent years teaching them. And human parents did not stop caring when children grew up. They continued to help, to support, to teach. 3 generations working together, grandparents, parents, children, knowledge flowing down, experience building up. Found records of human scientists. So many had thanked their parents in their research papers. To my mother who taught me to question everything. To my father who showed me the stars. To my parents who believed in me when no one else did. Human achievement was not just individual. It was communal. It was families investing in the future. And that investment paid off across generations. She thought of a little girl who wanted to draw the galaxy. If she survived, if she grew up, she would carry forward her father's determination, her mother's love of stars. She would be more than just. She would be the product of her parents' love and sacrifice. Returned to the recovery ward, found awake. He was turned toward, watching her sleep. His hand still held hers. "You are awake," said. "Just woke up. They said is doing well, that she will recover fully." "Yes, the doctor is pleased with her progress." His eyes filled with tears. "Thank you for stopping for us, for bringing us here, for staying with her when I could not." "I did nothing special." "You did everything." He looked at her directly. "You could have left us, most would have. It would have been logical, efficient, but you did not. You chose differently." Sat down. "I need to understand something. That day when I found you, you could barely walk, carrying made it worse. You could have moved faster alone, could have saved yourself. Why did you not?" Looked at his daughter. "Because she is mine, my child, my blood, my heart walking around outside my body." He paused. "When died, I thought I would die too. The grief was so heavy. But then I saw eyes looking back at me, saw everything we had created together, and I knew I had to live, had to protect her, had to make sure that love continued through our daughter. But if you both died, then we died together. I would rather die holding my child than live knowing I abandoned her. Some things are worse than death, Commander, and leaving your child alone in the dark is one of them." Was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I am starting to understand. Your species has a strength we do not. You care so deeply that it becomes power. You love so fiercely that it moves planets. All species love their children. Not like humans, not with this intensity. I have been reading your history. Your parents literally change who they are for their children, sacrifice careers, sacrifice dreams, sacrifice their own lives. Also, the next generation has a chance. Smiled slightly. That is what parents do, not just human parents, all good parents. We give our children a better world than we had, and they do the same for their children. That is how civilizations grow. Stirred in her sleep, made a small sound. Immediately, his attention shifted to her. His thumb rubbed gentle circles on her hand, comforting even unconscious. Does she know? Asked. Does she know what you did for her? She knows I love her, that is enough. You almost died for her. Yes, and I would do it again, without hesitation. He looked at, that probably seems crazy to you. It did, but now. Thought about everything she had learned, everything she had seen. Now I think maybe it is the sanest thing in the universe, to love something more than yourself, to protect it with everything you have, to build a future even if you do not get to see it. They sat in comfortable silence, watching sleep, watching her chest rise and fall with steady breaths, a life saved, a future preserved. Commander said eventually, why did you stay? You could have left days ago. Your ship is repaired. Thought about how to answer. I wanted to see the end of the story, wanted to know if love really was stronger than logic, if a father's devotion could actually change fate. And I think I have my answer, she stood. I will leave in the morning, but I will remember this. Remember you and remember that sometimes the illogical choice is the right one. It is not illogical, Commander. It is just a different kind of logic, the logic of the heart. Nodded, she left the room, but she carried something with her, something that had not been there before, a small seed of understanding, of belief that maybe, just maybe, humans had figured out something the rest of the galaxy had missed. That love was not weakness. It was the ultimate survival strategy, because those who loved deeply would fight hardest, would sacrifice most, would build futures that lasted generations. And that made all the difference. 6 months passed. The war that had destroyed the research station was over. Peace treaties were signed. Borders were redrawn. The galaxy moved forward. Stood in the council chamber on Prime. Around her sat the highest leaders of her species. They had summoned her to explain her controversial research paper, the one that had caused arguments across 3 star systems. Commander, council leader said, his voice was cold. Your paper suggests we should fundamentally change how we raise our young, that we should adopt human parenting methods. This is radical, dangerous even. I am not suggesting we become human, replied calmly. I am suggesting we learn from them, that we understand why their civilization advances so quickly, why they achieve so much. They achieve through inefficiency, Counselor argued. They waste resources on emotional bonds, on caring for weak offspring who might die anyway. It is foolish. Is it? In the last 100 years, humans have made more scientific breakthroughs than they have colonized more worlds. They have built stronger alliances, and they did it all while wasting resources on family bonds. Correlation is not causation. Then explain this, pulled up a holographic display. Human scientists publish more papers, but they also acknowledge their parents in those papers 92% of the time. Scientists, less than 10%. Human inventors credit their families. Human explorers dedicate their discoveries to their children. There is a pattern, a clear pattern. Investment in the next generation creates compound growth. The council murmured, continued. I watched a human father carry his dying daughter through a war zone. He should have died. Logic said he would die, but he did not. He survived because love gave him strength that logic could not explain. And his daughter survived because he refused to let her go. That daughter will grow up knowing what sacrifice means, what commitment means, what love means, and she will pass that to her children. One anecdote proves nothing, said. Then what about this? Changed the display. The war ended through human negotiation. A diplomat named refused to accept any treaty that did not protect children on all sides. His negotiating team thought he was weak. The enemy thought he was foolish. But do you know what happened? The council waited. The enemy coalition fractured. Not all of them wanted this war. Many had been forced into it by their leaders. But when insisted on protecting all children, not just human children, but all children, something changed. Parents on the enemy side started asking questions, started refusing orders, started demanding peace so their own children could survive. Looked at each council member, weaponized love. He made the war about families instead of territories, about children instead of resources. And it worked. The enemy fell apart from the inside because parents wanted to protect their young. That is unexpected, admitted Counselor. It is human. They think differently than we do. Where we see logic and efficiency, they see love and sacrifice. And sometimes that makes them stronger. Leaned forward. What exactly are you proposing, Commander? I am proposing we study human family structures, that we consider longer-term parental involvement with our offspring, that we measure success not just in survival rates, but in what each generation achieves. I am proposing we invest more in fewer children, so those children can reach their full potential. And you base this on watching one human father. No, I base it on 6 months of research, on data from hundreds of human families, on tracking human achievement across generations, on watching how human children grow up secure in their parents' love and then go on to change the galaxy. Paused. And yes, on watching one father refuse to let go of his daughter even when death was certain, because that taught me something. Love is not weakness. Love is power. The council chamber was silent. Then Counselor Bora spoke, the same Bora who had needed surgery on medical station, the same Bora whose life had been saved before. I was there, Bora said quietly. I was the patient who was treated first. I lived because a human doctor made the logical choice, but I also watched what happened after. I saw the father. I saw the child. I saw Commander make choices that logic but were somehow right. She looked at, I have thought about it often. Why did that human carry his child? Why did risk her ship to save strangers? Why did any of it happen? And I realized, logic has limits. Sometimes survival requires more than calculation. Sometimes it requires heart. You are suggesting emotion over reason, said. I am suggesting, Bora replied, that maybe they are not opposites. Maybe the humans have found a way to make emotion and reason work together, and maybe we should be humble enough to learn from them. The council debated for hours, answered questions, presented data, shared stories. In the end, they agreed to a pilot program. 3 colonies would experiment with longer-term parental bonding. The results would be measured over a generation. It was not everything wanted, but it was a start. After the meeting returned to her ship, she had a message waiting. She opened it curious. The video showed, and in their new home on a peaceful colony world, was drawing at a table. Her hair had grown back where the surgeons had shaved it. She looked healthy, happy. Commander, said on the video, wanted to send you something. She has been working on it for weeks. Looked up at the camera, smiled. She held up a drawing. It showed 3 figures, a with blue skin, a human man, and a small human girl, all holding hands beneath a sky full of stars. This is us, said. My papa says you are family now. You saved us. You stayed with me when I was scared. Papa says that makes you my aunt, so I drew our family. Felt something warm in her chest. She had no word for it but she knew the human word, love. I am learning to draw the whole galaxy, continued. Papa says when I am grown up, I can visit you and show you all my pictures. Would you like that? The video ended. sat alone in her ship, staring at the frozen image of Smile, a child who should have died, who would have died if her father had been logical, but who lived because love was stronger than logic. Made a decision. She sent a message to the orphanage in her home city. She requested information about adoption procedures. She had decided to adopt a child, to try this human method, to invest everything in one young life and see what happened. It was illogical, inefficient, against all her training, but had learned something important. Sometimes the best choice is logic. Sometimes you had to trust in something deeper than calculation. Months later, met her adopted daughter for the first time, a small child named. She was 3 years old, unwanted because she was too quiet, too timid, not aggressive enough to compete with other children. But saw something else, potential, intelligence, a child who needed someone to believe in her, to invest in her, to love her. "Hello," said gently. "My name is, would you like to come live with me? I can teach you about stars." Looked up with large, fearful eyes. "Will you leave me if I am bad?" "No, I will never leave you. That is a promise. Even if I am scared, even if I cry. Especially then, because that is when you will need me most." Hesitated. Then slowly she reached out and took his hand. It was a small gesture, but it meant everything. Thought of his words. Some things are worse than death, and leaving your child alone in the dark is one of them. She understood now, understood why humans were so strong, not because they were smarter or faster or tougher, but because they loved, because they committed, because they turned emotion into strength and weakness into power. Years passed. The war became history, but its lessons remained. Its research paper was taught in schools. The pilot programs showed promising results. Children raised with more parental involvement achieved more, created more, contributed more to society. Other species began studying human family structures too, adopting what worked, adapting it to their own cultures. Slowly, the galaxy changed, not through war or force, but through understanding, through recognizing that humans had found something valuable, something worth learning. The human diplomat became famous. He taught negotiation classes to other species. His method was simple but revolutionary. Make it about families, make it about children, make it about love. Everyone understands love, even enemies, especially enemies. Wars ended faster, peace lasted longer, because humans had taught the galaxy a new way, not to fight harder but to care more. Watched grow. The small, timid child became a confident young. She excelled in school, won awards for her scientific research, but more than that, she was kind, compassionate. She helped other children, defended the weak. "Where did you learn that?" asked once, after had stood up for a smaller child being bullied. "From you," said simply. "You taught me that protecting others is not weakness, it is strength, just like humans do." One day, received another message from, was 18 now. She had become an artist as she had dreamed. Her drawings were displayed in galleries across human space. She painted planets and stars and aliens, beautiful images that captured something essential about each species. But more than that, had become an advocate. She worked with war orphans, helped traumatized children heal, taught them to draw, to express their pain, to find hope. She remembers, wrote, remembers being scared and hurt, remembers you sitting with her telling her about stars. She wants to be that person for other children, wants to be the light in someone else's darkness. Understood, was paying forward what she had received. Love given created love shared. Investment in one child rippled out to help hundreds, maybe thousands. This was the human way. This was their strength. Stood on her balcony one evening, watching play in the garden below. The child was drawing in the dirt with a stick, making pictures of stars and planets, just like had done. Beside stood Counselor Bora. They had become friends over the years, both changed by watching a father carry his daughter through fire. Do you regret it? Bora asked. Adopting her, it has made your life harder, more complicated. No, said, it has made my life fuller, richer, more meaningful. The council voted yesterday. The pilot programs are being expanded. We are changing how we raise all children, more parental involvement, longer-term bonding, everything you suggested. Because the data supports it. Because the data supports it, but also because we see the results. Children raised with more love achieve more, are happier, contribute more to society. Bora smiled. The humans were right. Love is not weakness. It is the foundation of everything. Thought of that day 6 months ago. Thought of stumbling upon in the smoke and fire. Thought of him refusing to let go, refusing to surrender, refusing to give up on his daughter even when logic said he should. She had stopped in shock that day, stopped because she could not understand what she was seeing, but now she understood, now she knew. She had witnessed humanity's greatest strength, not their weapons, not their technology, not their intelligence, but their love, their fierce, unbreakable, illogical love that turned ordinary people into heroes, that transformed weakness into power, that built civilizations that lasted. Other species fought for survival, for territory, for resources, but humans fought for something more. They fought for love, for family, for the next generation, and that made all the difference. Because survival was not enough. Living was not enough. You had to have something worth dying for, something worth sacrificing everything for, something that made life meaningful. Humans knew this, had always known it, and now slowly they were teaching it to the galaxy. Watched run toward her, laughing, holding up her stick, drawing. Look, Mama, I drew the 3 of us, you, me, and all under the stars, just like a family. Mama had started calling her that last month, the first time had corrected her. I am your guardian. But had looked at her with those large eyes and said, but you are my mama, you take care of me, you love me, that is what mamas do. And had realized she was right. Biology did not make family. Love did. Commitment did. Showing up every day and choosing to stay made you family. It is beautiful, said, taking the drawing. We will put it on the wall with all your others. Hugged her legs, such a human gesture, such a simple expression of love, picked her up, held her close, another human gesture, but one that felt right, felt natural. She thought of one more time, thought of him carrying, refusing to let go, and she understood finally, completely, why he had done it. Because when you love someone that deeply, that completely, there is no choice. You do not calculate risks. You do not weigh options. You simply act. You protect. You sacrifice. You hold on. That was humanity's gift to the galaxy, not just surviving, but teaching others how to love, how to care, how to build something that lasted beyond one lifetime. And in the end, that was the strongest force in the universe, stronger than weapons, stronger than hate, stronger than logic itself. Love. It was humanity's weakness, and humanity's power, and the reason they would always endure.